In this next section, we're going to start drawing and painting some scales. And our scales, I just picked, snakes colors. So I have some grass green up here. Bring my paint down so y'all can see how I mix it. And I also have some ochre. So I'm going to scoop out some paint from the side. I'm going to scoop out some yellow, and I'm going to make 3 different values with this. I'm going to make a nice yellow green. I guess that one's just like more like a regular green, and then a brighter yellow green to have some variety. I like to usually just work with 3 tones of this. And I'm going to also add in some white to some of this. I'm going to scoop out some of that color, some of each color. I'm going to add a little bit of white. So I like to prep all my colors first before I can do anything else. I just wiped off my brush. As you can see, like no color really got in that white, and I'm able to put a little bit of white in this section and a little bit of white over in my yellow section. Gonna mix that together, get a really nice light color, yellow green. This one just seems more like a regular green, and then I got like my dark green over there. I'm gonna let it stay dark green. It almost looks black. I'm not going to add really any black to this. So I'm looking at my highlights. Since I have my brush already gooed up, I think this will be a really good middle color, and then it's going to get my shadows along, like I said, top. All right, I just picked a scale. So this is the trick with doing scales. I like to mix my colors together while it's wet. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my green, and since the colors are wet together, it's going to blend in together. And as you can see, I'm making some strokes go down and up, and I'm going to take my darker green. I'm going to put that dark green up at the top. Now, I like seeing this texture because I think it looks more like a snake. If you don't want to see those lines, you just take a dry, clean brush. And since this is still drying, I can do this dry brush technique where I am just fading it out, and it's moving the paint around on that paper, and it's mixing them together. That does look better. It looks nicer and better blended. So I'm going to, again, do the next scale. Then I'm going to take the yellow, I'm going to go around on some of the edges and give it a nice golden glow to it. So it's okay to go over the black sections, putting enough paint on here so that it can blend into my next color. Going back and getting my middle tone green and blending it directly together on the page. So I'm taking my color and not mixing it onto my paint palette, but mixing it on the page while it's still wet is how we get a really nice blend. But I do wipe off my paintbrush a lot onto a paper towel as I'm working so that I don't overblend my colors. So I'm putting that darker green up at the top. I'm also going to put that dark green along on the edge so that it has a nice clearly defined edge. So with this one, I should have made my scales really big. I just drew these out during my lunch. And I really do want these to be really nicely defined. And there's a lot, so you're going to get a lot of scale practice. Sorry. Didn't know, so I painted in the wrong section. Didn't realize how much that would be. You can leave those strokes, or again, you can take a clean brush, dry it, and then blend the colors together while it's on there. I'm going to fix my little mistake. So yeah, sometimes you just have to go back and forth to really make some things stand out. And now my brush is dry. So that one's really standing out nicely. Okay, so you're going to do that for the whole thing. You could start at the top instead and then work your way down, flinging the brush downwards. This is a feathering technique. Let me zoom in. You could use a smaller brush, or I'm just using a normal, it's like a number 4 round brush, and just going down. It's on there kind of thick, so I need to smooth it out. You don't want your ridges to dry. If you have like a little ridge of your paint showing, you can see it's not laying flat. You need to blend it together. Not blend it together, smooth it out. So now that's nicely blended. I hope I'm not making this look too easy. It probably am. Not to brag. Blending in those. So I wanted to show you what I'm going to do with my golden color now. Gonna put just a little bit of gold here because some snakes have like really interesting details down there at the bottom. I think that gives it a really nice distinction. So again, my brush has some of that green on it, so I'm able to blend that all in. So when you add that other color, that looks really cool. And if you want, you can add in some of this other golden color, and it can go like along the edges to really make some things stand out, and it will look like it's glowing. That way I'm getting rid of that black outline, and now I have like a nice golden outline. And you can have some variety. Now, not all snakes are the same color everywhere. You would have some parts being more gold, some parts being more green. You can even add in some extra highlights. I realized I needed more of a highlight, so I just got a little bit of white on my brush. And I'm going to put my darker color up here at the top. They're not all with the same tone of color. I'm gonna add in a little bit of darker green up here. Blend it in while it's wet. Dry off my, but you can see that I'm just like smudging some green around over here on my paper towel. And since it's still wet, my brush is collecting and moving that paint around and swirling it, and I think it looks pretty nice. I'm going to bring back that edge of my scale. I'm not going to have a video of me painting a bunch of scales because that would be boring. That would be so boring. So I'm going to stop after this scale. You just continue this pattern where it goes from light to dark, and then take your time blending your colors with the paintbrush. This is a pretty advanced technique, but you can do it because you're all smart.